Today is New Year's Day and New Bike Day.
Shut up and sit down.
Check us out on other platforms.
For those who've been watching my channel, might have seen a video where I'm talking about my bike story and my current disability. I have lung issues due to COVID. I'm only about 75% lung capacity, and because of that, when I go for rides, I get really lightheaded, and I actually almost passed out last time I went out. So I needed an e-bike, and so I had to make a choice, and I sold my motorcycle so I could buy an e-bike. This is a Giant Talon E. It retails for $23.99. I was able to get it used for $1,000. The guy I bought it off of got it from his boss because he didn't have a license for about a month or so, and he needed to get to work. So his boss bought him an e-bike so he can get to work. And now that he has his license, he never wants to see a bicycle again. So he sold it for a really cheap price. It came with a nice bag of goodies, which we'll get to what all was in that bag. It was almost like Christmas morning going through a stocking. There was so much stuff in that bag. The bike has a few things that he changed. He changed for comfort. But I got to fix it. So for example, it has a bigger gel saddle like you would see on a cruiser or on like a hybrid bike. So we got to change that out for a proper mountain bike saddle. The pedals are okay, but I like my my race face chesters, so I'm going to put those on, as well as the grips. The grips are Giant, so I'm guessing this is what came with the bike, but they're really squishy, and I just don't like them. They feel too weird. So we're going to replace those. And plus we're going to modify the bike. He added a lot of lights and little dumb things like blue LED underglows and, you know, things that I'm not going to want, if I can turn that off. So we're going to take all that off, as well as we're going to dedorkify the bike with like removing reflectors and things like that. So let's get right into it. Let's customize our new bike and let's have some fun. Okay, before we switch out the saddle and put it up on the bike stand, I'm going to go ahead and cut down this seat post. Right now it's as low as it goes, and it is literally where it's actually just a little bit too high for where I need it when I'm in a perfect pedaling position, but I can drop it down for when I want, you know, to hit sick jumps and crazy gnar. So let's cut this down and we'll go from there. Okay, so I'm going to cut it right about there. I still don't have a vise in my new shop, so I'm just going to have to cut it on my desk. Alright. So I'm just going to clean up the cut with my file. Alright, let's remove this old seat. Still in good shape, so I'm going to throw it in the parts bin, but definitely not going on my mountain bike. It's maybe a good saddle from like my wife for her bike or my daughter. Or eventually I got to build a new bike for my niece, because she's outgrowing the first one we built. Link above. It'll be good for some bike eventually. Now for the new seat, I picked up a fabric seat. The brand, not the material. This is actually a takeoff. So sporting goods stores or bike shops, when they take parts off bikes, they throw it in a bin if they're in decent shape, and then they sell them for super cheap. I got this for 20 bucks. It's a pretty nice saddle and it looks brand new, so I'm guessing it came off a bike that was literally off the showroom, or one they didn't ride very much, because it looks great. So great way to save money if you're looking for cheap parts. Go see your local bike shop. Don't look for Chinese on Amazon. Get something good that's used. Now I'll have to adjust the angle once I put it on the bike, but there's the seat. Let's take off this stupid reflector while we have it off. Throw that in the parts bin because might want one on a bike one day, but not this one. So let's put that back on the bike and move on. Make sure to always lube your post because it will get corroded and stuck if you don't. Now I can ride it all the way slammed or raised up for when I need to pedal. Let's keep it raised up for now so I can get it on the bike stand. One of the worst parts about an e-bike, is putting it on the bike stand. Whew. Or I'm a wuss. One of the two. Okay, let's start de-stupefying it. Now I am going to want a bike lock, but I'm going to take it off for now. Probably will use this bike lock though. It's actually a pretty nice bike lock. LED underglow. What else? Red valve caps with Schrader valve adapters already on it. I think I'll leave the Schrader valve adapter on there on one of them. Even though I have a multi-pump, I don't have one at my work where I'm commuting to, so if I need to pump it up at work, I don't have to deal with having the wrong valve. Let's clean up the cockpit. Let's start with these spongy grips that I don't like. Kind of like the bar ends. Those are kind of cool, oil slick. So I might reuse those. I have no desire to ever use non-lock-on grips ever again, so I'm not going to keep these. Because once you go lock-on, you really never want to go back. That was one of the most annoying things back in the BMX days that I had, was dealing with grips. They would come loose anytime they got wet. And on rainy days, say it was raining in between races or something, even if it's light rain, you know, and they still have to race, my grips will come loose and it's annoying. So won't have that problem anymore. Add that to the trash pile. Alright, I'm going to take off the other one, but I'm not going to make you watch that. Continue the dedorkification. Remove the reflector, because that just ends up being trash on a trail somewhere. Now I do like reflectors. I'm not saying you shouldn't run a reflector on your bike. I just don't like this style of reflector. So we'll I'll show you my hack for that in a second, because I still want a reflector, but just not a plastic one. And let's remove this light. I am going to keep this light in my my bag. I'm going to use it when I need it, but I'm not going to leave it on. So that already looks a lot better. Now let's put the new grips on. Well, new for this bike grips. So I salvaged these off my other bike. I really like them, so might as well run them on this bike too. Alright, the cockpit's adjusted. Let's put on these cool oil slick bar ends. Just adds a little bit more swag. Make sure the star points up. As I said before, there's nothing wrong with these pedals. I just prefer my race face chesters. So, oh, there's no, there's only an Allen key on that. Can't use my pedal wrench. You know you're getting old every time you do anything somewhat strenuous. You go, oh. I'll definitely keep them for another project in the parts bin. Alright, now that those are off, let's put the race faces on. One of the easiest things to replace and the easiest things to strip out is your pedals. I actually have a tap for pedals, so you can retap your cranks if you strip out your pedals for that main reason. Because it is so easy to cross thread these, and since most cranks are aluminum, they just get torn up immediately. Alright, that looks nice. Well, first crash. It fell off because I had to use a C-post as a cheater bar because it was so stuck. That, kids, is why you put grease on your threads. I make jokes that you should always lube, but with pedals, it's true. So the bike is looking pretty good. I need to do a little bit of cable management just because the need to have zip ties and our own personal customization. So let's get that done. Alright, I don't like how this is kind of dangling here. But before I do that, let's add a reflector. And I said earlier I don't like plastic reflectors. What I like is tape reflectors. This is a great way to make your bike be seen without worrying about plastic breaking off and chunking up a trail somewhere. So I do this almost on all my bikes. Alright, there's our front reflector. We're going to add a few more around the bike. But let's fix this extra cord hanging off. Alright, that looks a lot better. And I could walk the 3 feet to get my zip tie snips, but I already have scissors in my hand. Alright, so that's our reflector, that cord cleaned up. I already cleaned up the cockpit. We are going to have to replace the shifter because it is busted. But I'm going to replace it with a whole new drivetrain. That will be a later video. I'm going to scrap the drivetrain on my old bike because it's much better, at least more range in this bike. Alright, let's remove this old shop sticker because it's not being serviced there anymore. It's being serviced at the TrailHead. Of course that would happen. Alright, after some Goo Gone and a heck of a lot of elbow grease, we got that all off. Kudos to that shop. They bought some high quality stickers. So let's put our new shop sticker on because it's no longer serviced up in Baltimore. It is now serviced at Benjamin's Bikes. And by the way, that is a reflective sticker as well. So actually I added more reflection with this. So there we go. Let's see if our bottle cage fits in there because that's pretty small. Yeah, it looks like this is going to barely fit. So let's put the new bottle cage on. This is my fidlock off of my old bike. I really like it, and my plan for the other bike, I'm not going to need a bottle cage anymore. So might as well move it over to the new one and save some money because I've spent enough on this bike. And that was one of the big complaints with this bike, was it's really small. You can't fit an oversized water bottle in the place for the bottle cage. I honestly think they should have put it on the down tube, because then you could fit a nice size bottle underneath. That might be a mod down the road that we'll try to figure out. That's the lowest of that setting. If it just goes up a hair, it should fit. I might need to buy, they make a smaller Fidlock bottle. I might need to buy that and switch to the smaller version. I mean, I typically on long rods use a bladder on my back. So this is just extra water anyway, so I might just switch to the smaller bottle for Fidlock so it fits better. There we go. And locked in. And our final mod of the day that truly christens it a Benjamin's bike, our TrailHead Unicorn. If I get enough comments on the channel, on this video, maybe I'll tell you why I use a Unicorn. Alright, attempt number 3. Wouldn't stick in the first 2 locations. Let's see if it sticks there. Alright, it's officially a Benjamin's bike and part of the TrailHead fleet. Alright, that is all the mods, at least for today. We are going to do some little more to this bike. I want to update the drivetrain. It currently has a 9x drivetrain, but it's only 11 to 36 tooth, and I don't really like that. So I'm going to replace it with 11 to 50 tooth cassette and a box Prime 9 e-bike specific drivetrain. So we'll see how that works out. I mean, I think eventually I want to get a dropper post for it as well. And even though I love these race face chesters, I might switch them out for a pedal that has clips on the other side, so I can go clipless. Just because if for long rides, I really enjoy to be clipped in. Makes it a little bit more comfortable and gives you a little more power, which is nice. So that's our bike. Hope you enjoy this as always. I'm actually going to go ride and try this thing out. You have a good day.
Check us out on other platforms